through a few of the features of Desmos to help you tidy up some of the graphs for your assessment tasks. So number one, adding a table. So if I go to this plus signal here at the top left of Desmos, I can choose to add a table. So in that table, I'm going to plug in some X values, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I'm just going to make that 11. 1, 3, 5, 7, 11. And obviously from your table values, you can plug in your corresponding. So I had 3, I had 7, 9, 11, 15, and 23. Now you can see that Desmos has plotted those points. If it hasn't plotted those points, you might need to click and drag around your screen. So you can see that I've clicked and dragged around. Careful, if you pinch to zoom, so on your trackpad, if you pinch to zoom, it moves things around. So I would encourage you is avoid pinch to zoom. You can click and drag the screen around. And if you need to move things, that would be my first port of call. The next thing is, how do I get a line graphed between those 2 points? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into settings, and when I click on my line, there's this option here where I can turn lines on. And when I turn lines on, I get points coming through. I'm going to add a second table here. So I'm going to add a table, 1, 3, 5, 7, 11. And for my new table, my values are going to be 2, 12, 22, 32, and 52. As you can see, 52 isn't on my screen, but I'm going to, instead of pinch to zooming, I'm going to come up to the top right here to settings, and I'm going to change my x-axis and my y-axis down here. My x-axis, I would recommend putting it as -5, and same with my y-axis at the moment, -5. It allows me to still see the value of my numbers on my axis. My x-axis, I'm going to change, and I'm saying to mine, let's just go to 40. Now my y-axis, I know I need to show the value of 52, so I'm going to go a bit bigger. I'm going to go 60. And when I changed it to 60, you can see now that that point 52 has come onto my screen. Remember, being very careful, the only thing I'll do is click. You can see there that if I use my pinch to zoom feature, it changes the position of my graph. It got rid of all that nice work that we just did with our settings. With my black points, I also want to turn on my line, and you can see right now I've got my 2 graphs, and you can see down the very bottom here, I might zoom in a little bit here for you. So I'm going to use my plus zoom, click and drag across. So I'm zooming in so you can see. You can see here at this point here is where those 2 graphs cross each other. But it's very hard to read that point of intersection. So something else we can do in Desmos, now that we have these, I know the equation that these 2 lines came from. So if I type in y equals 2x plus 1, see how that blue line, it now completely traces over exactly those dots. So I can turn it off, turn it on, it just extends all those dots. So that is the rule that described all those points from table 1. If I type y equals 5x minus 3, see how that green line now has taken over that black line. It's that black line. One thing Desmos does for us is all of a sudden it highlights the 2 points that these lines intersect. So these 2 lines intersect each other at the point 1 and 1/3, 3 and 2/3. So I can put that there. When I click on it, it shows that value, and if I wanted to, I can screenshot that now, and there's screenshot showing the value of where those 2 intersect each other. Using the dials, I can turn lines on and off. I can turn that off, and I can turn that off. So everything's still there, everything's saved here. It's just not visually shown on the screen. Moving on, some other curves that we're asked to talk about, we're asked to talk about parabolas. So we were asked to graph something in the form of y equals, 10x minus x to the power of 2. Now, if you're not sure how to get that power of 2, there's two ways you can do it. You can open the Desmos keyboard and you can see there is a squared. So I can put that and it jumps it up there straight away for you, and we can minimize that. Again, clicking and dragging, making things moving around. And if we want that point there to stay visible, if we want to screenshot it, we can click it and screenshot. The other thing that we can do is when you type brackets in 5,25, notice how it plotted that point, and I can click label, and it has now labeled that point on that curve for me. So I can keep that. Again, remembering playing with these settings here, changing it to, that -5, minus whatever, to make sure that that graph stays nice in centered. The other thing you can do, if you wanted to make your picture pop a bit more bold, up here with display, you can click that bold display, and it just gives it a bit more of a standout feature. So that's that parabola type nature. The other thing we're asked to graph, and this is where I'll kind of wrap up for this video, is we're asked to graph exponentials. So we'll kind of ask to graph something along the lines of a is equal to, and you do something like 10,000 outside of 1 plus, now you put your interest rate in, so you might have 5%, so 5 over 100, and then you put that to the power of n, and nothing's come up. Desmos has shown it's a red line, so it's recognized that a and n are the values that we want to graph against, but nothing's come up. Well, what we need to think here is $10,000 is where I started, so I'm going to change here. My y-axis -2. I'm starting at 10,000 and getting bigger than 10,000, so I'm going to change this to like 50. 1, 2, 3. All of a sudden, when I've changed it to $50,000 or 50,000 on that y-axis, you can see there is my curve. If I want to change my x to show certain values of x, I can stretch it to 30, and I can see when I click and drag things around, it's stretched out to 30. I can close that down. Actually, it's now gone to 29, so let's put this to like 40. But you can see now, on my axis, there's 35. I can move around, again, avoiding pinch to zoom. So in summary, if we want to be able to find our values, show our values, we want to be changing these values carefully, avoiding pinch to zoom, because when we change these and play around, changing where we want our x to graph to, it changes how the graph looks. If I change this to 100, all of a sudden now my curve looks really different. I'm really only focusing what happens in this section here up to about 35, so that's why I'm going to put in my label something just above 35. That's why I put 40 in there. It gives me a better looking picture. I hope that helps you with your assessment. Good luck with it tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow at school.